Hey everybody, welcome back. This is going to be a different video since the weather we've been having for the past 3-4 days have been nothing but torrential downpours and thunderstorms. I went out fishing today during the rain. I got nothing. I ended up getting, I had one bite, but I wasn't able to land it. So today I'm going to be baking a blueberry cake. So it's July. This is definitely blueberry time, and we're fortunate that we have 26 of our own bushes. So I went out this morning and I picked 1 quart. So I'm going to be using a recipe that I've been using for a long time. It's probably something from back when my mother was baking and perhaps my grandmother. I don't know. I'm making this with just regular flour. I do also cook gluten-free because my kids don't eat gluten, and the only thing you have to do with this recipe to make it gluten-free is just change up your flours. Now when I go gluten-free, I usually use almond flour, coconut flour, or rice flour. So a lot of times I'll put it all together because if you use just a rice flour, it's very fine, so it doesn't make for a very fluffy cake. And a big truck is going by. Whenever I start doing videos, there's always some sort of outside noise, but that's okay. So I'm going to go through this, see how it is as a cooking video, and figure what the hell. It's a crummy day, make the best of it. So this is my recipe. Like I said, if you want gluten-free, just do 2 cups of your gluten-free flours. What do you think there, Mr. Potato Head? Look good? I'm sorry, I live in a world where Mr. Potato Head still is alive. Alright, so if you're any type of a baker, you know that you're going to have your dry ingredients and you're going to have your wet ingredients, and then you're going to mix the two. I always start by getting my dry ingredients together. 2 cups flour. 2½ powder, baking powder, 2½ teaspoons baking powder, this is the leveler. It's funny how baking is just a science experiment. It's all science. The salt is needed. Everything just kind of works off each other and baking begins. I remember when I first started, I was very basic. But then it's like, wow, I can just go ahead and make myself something really good to eat right now without having to go to the store. Alright, so 2 cups flour, ½ cup sugar. I don't use processed sugar. I really enjoy sugar in the raw. This is just a very flavorful sugar, and that's a ½ cup. So before I go to my, I'm going to turn the oven on, 400. Before I do my wet, I always whisk up my dry ingredients. Alright, wet ingredients. I'm fortunate that I have a farm down the street that I get my fresh eggs from. It's calling for 1 egg. A lot of times I'll double it up, but this is a very large egg, so I'm just going to do the one. It's going to be 3/4 cup milk. Just breaking it up. 3/4 cup oil. I'm going to use sunflower seed oil. No, I'm not. I'm using grapeseed oil. It's either this or else I use olive oil. I don't use Wesson. I don't use Crisco. Just my preference. I always like to add a little bit of vanilla, even though it doesn't call for it. And I whisk it up. I go ahead and mix them. Wet into the dry. Spatula. I would say don't over mix. You don't want to under mix either. It says 1 to 2 cups of blueberries. I never measure. I just go for the amount of blueberries that I'd like to have in my blueberry cake. Sometimes it seems a little dry. Just have to add a little more wet to it. I'm just going to put just a little bit of milk. This way it pours a little better into the pan. One thing I also add is just a little bit of cinnamon. I don't make a crumble top or anything like that. Cinnamon's a great spice. I'm a firm believer in parchment paper. Because when you're done, all you do is just lift it out and you've got a nice cake without having to worry about sticking. And I came up with my own little way of keeping the parchment in place while I put the ingredients in. I just use clothespins. Go ahead and get the batter into the pan. Just like to push it into the corners, get all the batter in there. All right, then I just like to settle it. Now I'm just just waiting on the oven to heat up. All right, so I have the rack in the middle. All right, so we have 400 degrees for 40 minutes. Obviously start checking it a little earlier. Sometimes things do cook quicker. Okay, so as you can tell, the top right now is nice and brown. The blueberries are starting to squeeze off on the sides. According to Mr. Potato Head, we still have 14 minutes left. But like I said, you know, every oven's different, ingredients are different dryness. You have to check it early on. So I'm going to go ahead and take this thing out and use a toothpick to see how the batter looks. So I'm just going to stick a toothpick in the center. I got all blueberry there. Actually, this is looking pretty good. I'm just going to give it another minute more, just to make sure. In the oven it goes. Alright, so I took this thing out 12 minutes early. So it only takes about 30 minutes for me today. What do you think about that? Alright, so the reason why I'm such an advocate of the parchment paper because, boom, there it is. There's the blueberry cake. Alright, so this concludes my first ever baking video. Goes to show you that you have your 10 to 15 minute prep time, 30 to 40 minute bake time. You end up with a blueberry cake that's going to be very delicious for everybody. Like I said, you can always change it to gluten-free. Today I just did it with the regular flours. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.